Hello, everyone, and welcome back to SSRG and Your View. Today, we are going to start by discussing a topic that is causing a storm on social media, especially within the Nigerian space. Um, there was a young girl who was raped by a man who is a content creator called Odogwu Asaba. And the man has been arrested. He's begging for videos emerged of him begging for forgiveness and whatever happened because the girl committed suicide after the event happened. So now, instead of people just condemning this man's action, there is a there is conflicting discourse on the Nigerian social media space about what consent actually means to people. So I wanted to start by asking people's thoughts on why there is conflicting narrative on what consent means. Like, shouldn't it be straightforward that consent is straightforward? Why is there different discourses on this?
Well, I feel like I feel like the reason why there are different opinions as to what consent means. For example, some persons would say that once a woman decides to visit a man and intentionally goes into the room or the hotel or wherever whatever is taking place, then you should already she should already have it at the back of her mind that something is going to happen. And I've also heard people say, even before this thing happened, or even comment on social media, like, as a woman, when you're going there, what do you intend? Like, what do you expect? If you are not ready to do anything, why would you go there? So sometimes I think about it deeply, and I feel like illiteracies may be contributing to this kind of things that people see, because it is simply that people do not understand that even consent goes to the extent that even when you are already in the process, when you're already doing the do, our viewers understand what I'm talking about. Once you hear no, you should stop. That is part of consent. So it's not whether the person decides to come by themselves or you go to pick them up, but at any point where you are together with that person and she says, I do not want to do this, or you just hear stop. Now I'm also going to touch a different dimension that people always anchor their arguments on. For instance, in Nigeria, we always talk about having two types of no from girls. So a lot of young men will always tell you that there is a difference between no and no now. So the interpretation is that no now means continue, but no means stop. But when you think about it carefully, it's just a joke because that thing doesn't make sense. Whether it is no now or no, when somebody says no, you should stop. So, okay, let me stop here for now.
I think added to what you have said, I think one interesting thing, like when we talk about assault and all whatnot, like yes should be a full sentence. Not should be. Yes is a full sentence. No is a full sentence. So when somebody says no now, like it's not like you're expecting them to say something else. No, don't do it. No, I don't want it. Like that no alone is telling you that I don't want it at this point in time. But something that also is important, I think, because the argument about somebody visiting you and then that's a green light that they want to have something with you, it's just bizarre. Because if that means anybody that visits you, you should have sex with them. That's just bizarre. So I think
So it's
first of
like even if I don't visit someone, the person now has a right to sleep with me.
that's the argument they are making, which is not true. Like the fact says somebody visits you doesn't automatically mean they visited you because they want to do that. And also, this is
One question can also be, do you sleep with everyone that visits you?
that's the
Visit
question
you.
I'm asking. That's the question you
Yeah.
should be asking
Everyone
you,
that visits you.
including your parents if they if they visit
Including
you.
even the pastor, the bishop, all of them.
Like it's just bizarre. So that's just what I would say.
Yeah. So thank you so much, guys. So what I would add is most of the things that enable this behavior is the conversation we have before this act ever happens. And this conversation builds up in the minds of people and then gives them the enablement or the push to do whatever they do. And for example, let's take from what Tima said. He said, maybe when a girl is saying yes and no or no now, that maybe when they are talking about it on social media or any other place, maybe it's a joke. And then TC was saying that yes is a yes. Maybe people discuss and say when a girl visits you, it is a call that you should have sex. Now, this conversation happened when people are just maybe in a friends group or just in social media or anywhere. And then when the act now happens, this conversation continue. Because I particularly think that if we don't have this conversation, if we say that's not true when these conversations were had, like for example, because I would think I'm very much happy that men are here. I would think that if men are in their circle, maybe having a drink or having coffee or anything, and they're discussing, oh, the somebody wants to visit me, and there has not been an enabling conversation that says, you know what that means, you know what you should do, you better buy a condom. It happens, like men would say you better make sure you wear something, you should, or they will start laughing, or they will start hailing the man that something is about to go down, right? So this conversation gives the man the enabling environment to also think, yes, my fellow men agree that it is okay. So this girl is coming, this is what should go down. And so whatever she says, I mean, you are here, what are you saying? I've been given a go ahead and all. So both in conversation within friends, conversation where maybe football is played, conversation on social media, the argument, it makes me really emotional when I see that. And Emmanuel is not only illiterate people, it's not only ignorant people. I see very educated people argue
Yep.
and say that for this case of this girl, they were even arguing that how would she say she's a virgin, that she's not a virgin? Look at her dressing. And I'm wondering, does dressing
Some people started referencing her conversation where she was asking the man for money. I
for
think to pick
money?
up or something. I don't remember exactly.
So like, so they're like, did you see how she's dressing? So in my head, trying
A
to
lot
pin
of people
everything,
screaming.
yeah, try to pin all these pieces together, like set my head ablaze, because the more I think about it, the more I do not understand why. And so I start going back to, does it mean this was enabled in a very comfortable environment, and then when they do it they're like, but this is okay? Because
So
if it is not okay,
yeah,
then they wouldn't do it and they will feel guilty. So please, like, consent is consent. Like, consent should be understood as consent even before any woman visits you or any man. Because even people rape men. And I know we're discussing a woman, especially people in LGBTQ or so. There is this what's it called? Fishing, catfishing. They do a lot of catfishing and get them and say, is it not what you are doing? Because they are gay, you feel like it is okay to rape them. But the topic is women because the cases are higher. And so when a woman says no, yes, as a woman, it is sad to agree that there's a way it has been enabled. I don't do that nonsense. But there's a way it has been enabled that it looks like she's saying no and then it is done. What if actually she says no and it was the discussion now kind of manipulated her, kind of forced her coercion? And in this kind of acts, how do you come out and say, I actually did not want it, when it's complicated?
yeah,
But no is just no. And discussing it and attributing it to, she went to the hotel, she wanted money for this, that's even using vulnerability to sleep with somebody. And how do you even enjoy the whole process when you know that it was a bait? You
yeah,
knew she needed money, and why not just go and hire a sex worker? Why not just pay? We have prostitutes in Nigeria, like we have sex workers. Sorry for the language. We have sex workers in Nigeria. Why not just go there if it is about money and exchange and not about yes or no? And
yeah.
so, another thing I want to say is that it's the girl committed suicide, and that is why this was an important topic, because the girl is dead. I'm imagining if this girl is not dead and she's coming out to
Nobody will
tell her
blame
case.
her.
So it is just because the girl is there that this is coming up. And even with a dead girl, there is still victim blaming. There is still, okay, yes, this girl is dead and she committed suicide, but are we but what?
So the thing I was going to contribute to what Fidel said is, this issue of money. Like the girl was asking for money, she was asking for help, and all of that. But my comment on that, I think I will reserve it for the last part because maybe somehow we try to look at solutions to things like this. And I think that's where it is important. And also, the reference you made, Fidel, that maybe it's the conversations people have, or maybe guys have before the female visits that enable this kind of environment. Yes, it
Mhm.
does. But I would like to make something clearer here, okay, perhaps from a guy's perspective. So, yes, guys say things like that, like how far a baby is coming, you need to buy a condom, and all of that. But I feel like just because this conversation happened and your guys are telling you to get ready or try to play your cards well, that does not in any way advise you to go rape someone. For
Yes.
example, if you the reason we are telling you to have a condom in your house, for example, is that somehow the person comes and then there is consent
Yes,
so that
consent.
you be on the safer side. So the condom is not for rape. It is for your personal protection. Or if we are telling you to play your card well, playing your card well is to ask for consent well. You see, not that if
But
somebody says no,
can
you're
I
going
say
to say,
something?
oh, yeah, continue.
I think like what you are saying is correct. What Fidel said is correct because I know that there is another conversation that guys would have amongst themselves sometimes. For
Yeah,
instance, if you say, "Oh, a girl came to visit me," and the guys are like, "Oh, so you guys, and you are like." No, we didn't do anything. She didn't want to. People will be like, "What kind of person are you? You couldn't even get a girl to agree to." So there is that. This type of conversations can lead
yeah,
to subconscious pressure that
yeah,
as if everybody's observing you are trying to, and you have to show off your masculinity somehow by showing that you can do this. So I think
Mhm.
that's like for me is a bigger conversation as to why like what is discussed like in those spaces can also influence what happens.
Yeah.
And TC. Okay. And if we start saying she called for it, like, for example, the money was involved, she dressed in a way that suggests she needed sex, she was in an environment that suggests she needed sex. How many much other things do women get because they looked like they wanted it? I mean, I want PhD. I do. I'm really trying since last year. I still don't have it.
You had to go
There
there.
are a lot of
Oh
things
God, I beg.
that women look like.
and
I
you
know
don't have it because you
But
don't
you
you
dress
don't.
guys are my
like a
But you are
colleagues,
PhD.
not. But you are not getting
professional
it.
colleagues, personal colleagues. I need to make my hair. I look it. My hair is old. It didn't. It didn't make anybody do anything out of place because I look it, because it looks like it looks like, if it looks like, it doesn't mean anything. And I don't
Yeah.
know when we started branding some
And
things
what
as
does it
it
look
looks like.
like?
And
What
what
does
does
it
it look
like?
like, for crying
Like
out loud?
because there are the interesting thing is that there are a woman can wear revealing stuff and they will call it. It looks like she wants it. But I have seen situations where women cover up, where in fact they even wear masks, cover their face. They will see say she looks like
Everything.
she wants it. Like what does
Yeah,
that even mean?
yeah,
Everything. She called
exactly.
for it. She looked like she wanted it. Like there was a campaign about that. And I am anybody watching this video, please do me a favor. You can watch Ladies First on Netflix. Because I think when roles are reversed, maybe you can really understand. Because meanwhile, I am like, I can get really so pissed, and then they'll start tagging me angry feminist. It is a term I am comfortable with because there's no way these things can be happening and I will not be angry. It doesn't make any sense. And
I think everybody should be angry.
everybody should be angry. The campaign was, she called for it, she wanted it, and the woman first of all dressed like she was going to a pool, and in her office she told her boss she's going for a vacation, and the boss was like, "Are you crazy?" And she said, I look like it. So she left her office. The one that was the CEO came and took over from her boss and said, I look like it because she dressed on a suit. So what does it even mean she called for it, she looks like it? And remember, in this case, there was a bait. There is always a bait for most women that are raped. Most cases of rape, when you read it, when you study it, the bait was about learning content creation. And then she just didn't start trying to go to you. She
Yeah.
just didn't wake up and start wandering in a hotel with no purpose. Even if that is the case, is it your business? But this particular case, there was a bait. There was, I'm gonna teach you content creation, and she's already like in the media space. She wants to be an influencer or something, and she was baited with that.
Can I
And
Yeah.
can I ask
yeah,
another
I
question?
Yeah.
But
TC was going to say something.
no, I was going to say that I think that like we need to start normalizing that for most part for the most part of the time, if someone is coming to see you, an opposite gender, or someone who you might have something to do with is coming to see you, for the most part you already know, if not already know, like it's all made, like you have that feeling that something is going to happen, and that's because you've been having that conversation prior. You might have been building that relationship.
but even if you had the conversation and you
That's
had
what
that
it
feeling,
still
that
doesn't.
feeling should not also make you
Yeah,
not
no, I'm
ask
trying to make to
questions.
the I'm trying to go back to the point of a woman visiting a guy or coming around, passing through the corridor, and the guys are already shouting, "Oh, my bad guy," and they feel like you feel like that should be a pressure for you to do that, and even though you've not had that conversation prior, so you giving a babe money, a babe dressing, revealing in a revealing way, doesn't make it automatic that she wants to have any sexual intimacy with you. That conversation
Yeah.
should have happened prior to even coming. And even
Yeah,
when she arrives, the consent is an
continues.
ongoing thing.
Yeah.
Can I ask
It's
another question? This is
yeah.
because this is also something that I started. Maybe most people would not pick it up, but I noticed it because
okay.
when this event happened, whenever I'm looking at different newspapers that reported this event online, I realized that the man's name was mentioned several times. His real name, his content creating name, but in most news spaces that reported this, the girl's name was not mentioned. And I have a question which I'm trying to understand. Do you think that it was a good thing and an intentional thing to protect the privacy of the girl, the late girl, and her family? Or do you think that it's just the news counting the girl as just statistics? Like there is no need to even mention her name. Like it's one of those things. Just like how some population are so vulnerable that they are
Mhm.
considered statistics. So
Yeah.
the news does not even think it's that important to mention this person's name. So I'm wondering where you land
Mm.
on this philosophical question on my mind.
It's like a two sides of a coin, because the man that was involved is popular. So I don't even know him before then, because there are kind of people I know. So I don't know him. He's popular to his kind of audience, right? And because of that popularity, newspapers, media houses hinge on that to garner
Okay,
readership
so his
and
name is like a keyword that's
yeah, to get people to read that. and and yeah, his name and his page that has followers, people will be like, ah, this is the person that did that. Also, while I have not done the research to see like what you did, what you reported now, that there is a lot of this ethical this thing of shredding the name of the person to preserve their identity, she is dead.
but
And
even
I
even
don't
But,
think
the
it
but,
is
girl
but
she has
because
some
but she has
dignity.
family members though.
Yeah, and she also like I don't know, like
So
that
what I'm
To me,
thinking about is that I don't. Well, to begin with, as a
I
disclaimer,
don't put question we go scatter everywhere.
no, it's not
It's
scattering
interesting
everywhere,
to think
but it's
about
just
that.
that when this kind of question is asked, a lot of things have to be considered before you answer. For example, you need to also think about the context where everything is happening, because that's very important. So that's why I was going to say as a disclaimer that the kind of space where this thing happened, we know that anything can be possible. So it's possible that it was done on purpose. But how I would think about it neutrally is that I don't feel it was just like a way of reducing the girl's name to nothing. I think it
Nothing.
was like for anonymity, which personally I feel is important, because despite the fact that she is dead, she has a family members and a lot of things going on at this moment. And remember that in our space, stigmatization is high. Even a dead person does not like escape it fully, because when you die for some reason,
And
people are going to start saying things.
she has two
Yeah,
stigma, by the way. She has two stigmas to deal. The family members have two stigma to deal with: the grape and
e-
then committing
The
suicide.
Suicide,
suicide.
because
So
The
you
suicide
can
also
suicide.
shamed in our culture.
Exactly. And then, and you look at a way of, or a lot of people would think about this, especially in the remote area. When these kind of things happen, it will surprise you that people start saying things like, maybe it's some sin that the father committed long ago that God is paying back. Now his daughter has taken her own life. People say things like that. So I feel keeping it anonymous not is not really bad in this situation.
Some preservation. If there's
Yeah,
anything I've noticed in media, it is how really it all boils down to the girl. The topic shifts from the act to the
yeah,
girl
yeah,
in split seconds. That is what I like. I would say that it's. I'm like, this is not what we were discussing. We were talking about rape and suicide. Now it
mm,
is about, like how you were saying that when you introduced this topic, you were talking about how this happened, and then all of a sudden, what has been trending and discussing is about consent. For a grievous crime like this, it has moved from, like, there was this man that had a lot of thousands of followership. Second, again, I don't follow the person. I saw the screenshot that was saying that he rapes his wife, and he was saying that all men are complicit. That, yeah, he did not say it directly. This is the statement quoting him. He said, when they talk say there's never been a time when I tear the pants of wake you enter. Say the person they say, they interested, they what audacity, like, he did not even
That
see it
person
as a
should be
crime.
arrested and
mm.
questioned.
Exactly.
Fidel,
Exactly.
sorry for the interruption, but I just saw a
Well,
comment
if it's
yesterday.
possible, we're going to put the screenshots in this video. I get it after the shooting here. I'll get the screenshot and you can see it. And people were like, "Is this what you're saying?" And there is a woman that was saying that the husband, she was so tired. They were like having issues, and she didn't was not in the mood. And the husband forced the way or around forced her his way to inside her, and that even brought some people to know that there is nothing like rape in marriage in Nigeria.
I
There is nothing like that.
I think
It is
like
not a crime.
I also, sorry, Ma, I knew you were going to say something, but I thought you were done, Fidel. Sorry, I
So
thought you were.
which
It's
mean
fine. There's nothing like
which
this in, so it's not
which
criminalized.
means that even our law is still very backwards.
It's still
Like we
very
need to
backward.
make new laws,
Because she
stringent
was calling out
policies
to
that.
say she needs representation, she needs a lawyer. What is lawyer representing you for when it is not a criminal offense?
Okay, we are almost out of time, so I'm just gonna ask. Amongst, because we have mentioned some things, but
Mhm.
how do we move this conversation forward? Like, what do we do? How do we teach young men and everyone, not just young men, but mostly young men, that consent is consent and it's a continuous thing, it's not a one-time thing. And like any atom of no should be taken as no. How do we
Yeah.
start show teaching that
So
at the local
so
level?
so in primary schools there is something like health education or something like this, right? In primary, if I remember correctly. I don't know, but in any of these subjects that we talk about, these things can be incorporated. as big time subjects that they need to learn. Teach them young that when you grow up, this is what consent means. This, in fact, consent is dynamic from the beginning till the end. I Now let me be blunt a bit. Even if
Please.
somebody consents and you're already sleeping with them, for example, you are done with the first round, consent still continues, because if she says she doesn't want a second one, you must stop it. This is it. So, and another thing,
Even if you people are doing the first one, and at some point there's like, I don't want to continue again.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So this is it. And the reason sometimes when I want to proffer solutions to things like this, I first get tired before talking of that solution. You know why? Because I feel like I am just saying this on social media and somebody will watch it and it will never make any difference, because why should we even be talking of what to
Why
do
should it
about
be a
about
topic?
rape in 2026? Anyị agafego dị ha. We should be beyond this kind of thing. Why are we still discussing what can be done about rape? But if somebody says something bad about the president on social media, they will track down the
They
person
will
the
look for the
following
person
morning.
and you will not be
But
found.
look at people who commit rape, they are walking scot-free. Why don't you just prosecute these people, bring them to book? So the
Yeah.
solution is already there, but I don't know the kind of space we live in. But another thing I've always had in my mind, this is not me in any way blaming the victim. Because sometimes the way we have this kind of conversation is like, at the end of the day, we still push it back to women. No, this is not what I'm doing. But a typical example is, if you know that there is a pit right in front of you, you know that when you fall in that pit, nobody is going to do anything about it. I think the least you could do is try as much as possible to avoid the pit. Because I've heard stories where people say, please come and visit me in this hotel. We've tried to condemn rape in all ramification, whether the person visits you or not. But the least I feel like young girls should also do right now is to be also very careful about visiting this kind of people. When they tell you to come to this room, I want to help you to make you a content creator, or I will do transfer for you when you
Emmanuel,
come.
most content creators shoot their content in a hotel.
So
Exactly.
I think what
That's where they
Emmanuel
shoot their content.
is saying
Mm,
is that
yeah,
while we haven't had the best policies and the best protection,
exactly.
women should also
Protect themselves.
protect themselves to an
Yeah,
extent.
And
Yeah.
exactly.
that could to just add a little, that could come in forms of telling your friends, telling your relatives, telling whoever, this is where I'm going to, so they
You'll
know.
be raped and nobody
No,
will
no,
It
say
can
no. What
also
I'm
anything.
even
it can
saying,
also
what I'm even
be
saying it
besides
is
that,
don't even go.
you
Yeah,
can
I was
also
going to
have
say.
speed whatever on your phone, emergency, if it works, where
Yeah.
if there's a case you can trigger something like
The
that.
girl traveled out of where she stays to see this man.
My point I was going to make now, I was going to make before I talked about, because there's no way you come back to victim blaming. It doesn't make sense. But
Yeah.
for how to approach the consent issue, I feel like, I don't want to say most because that would be generalizing, but young men in Nigeria need to do better in terms of their sense of self, and also the people they look up to. Because I feel like most young men, how you count your masculinity, how you count what you have achieved, is by how many women you are able to sleep with.
Sleep with.
And
Yeah.
so it's that consciousness that every woman that visits you, you need to sleep with them. So if that's an achievement for most young men, it begins to tie into their sense of self. And so when the women disagree, they feel like it's my right or it's something I have to do. You have to
Or that
understand,
their self worth will go down
or they're
if
their self.
Yeah.
yeah.
So you have to understand that these things are not tied to your self worth. Like if someone says no, it's
Yeah.
not. It's even more. It's even more mature to work out, and like gives you a sense of self to work out when they say no than to stay and just want to force things.
TC, what
Yeah.
what you are saying is perfect, because I'm going to give a real life example now. I remember when I was in the uni, a girl once visited me, and okay, she did not consent. She said, no, I don't want to do this kind of thing. And I said, okay, fine, fine, no problem. There was not an issue at all. But when I got to school the following morning, just to talk about this sense of self you pointed out, which is very important, I was talking about this thing with some of my friends, and like, Almost all of them told me it's because you did not play your card well. And I said, please educate me. What is the
Yes.
card?
Exactly the discussions that pressure,
How do
I
I
don't call
play?
it pressure, that
How do I play
enable.
the
You
card
go
well?
by
What
what?
card?
You go
Like so,
by
an
what?
adult told me, see, Emmanuel, I don't want this. And I said, okay. So
An
what
adult
card?
that has agency that can say
Exactly.
yes
So
and
what
no, that
card are
knows
you
what she
telling me?
wants.
Conversations that enable it.
They tell me,
And
say, it's because you don't have enough experience.
I
What's the
remember
issue?
before I go to solution, what Sisi said about self-worth also. An example is also maybe Fidel is known in this area that you guys are discussing amongst them, and TC is saying I've slept with Fidel. Emmanuel says I've slept with Fidel. Prince said I've slept with Fidel. Now there is Ifechuku. Ifechuku is like, it's just remaining me. And Ifechuku goes and the girl says no. And he will must have to try to sleep with the girl. And if maybe he raped the girl and the girl is like, I didn't consent to this, say waiting there different now only me on my own can go there different, you be sleeping with girls, what do you mean consent? So it's not
Exactly.
because a woman is active and having sex, even if she decides to do bestiality and sleep with goats and dogs and
Yeah.
cows, it is, or mosquitoes or objects, it is not your turn. We're not
Yeah.
doing a milocram with a woman's body.
Yep.
It is not your turn.
Yep.
Solution. I'm going to solution, please, before we run out of time. Now, there is still
Well,
sex
already have.
education avarice in Nigeria. There is still sex education avarice. If in my SS3, if my memory serves me well, which it does, is when I'm taught how to use a condom. A female condom. That was the first ever time I saw a female condom. You'll be wondering what my parents were doing that I didn't know what a condom looks like. You'll be wondering what my elder siblings are doing when I didn't know what it looks like. And even when my biology teacher was teaching me that, she was censoring her words. And till this age, sex education is still taught in that way. And children know these things. And then they learn from their peers and they learn the wrong things.
Yeah.
And I have nieces that are little and nephews, and I'm pushing sex education at some age. There is age appropriate sex education. I agree. Because sometimes when you make somebody know something, they will try to explore and do what is not appropriate at that age. But the kind of censorship and the kind of teaching, subpar teaching of sex education they do in Nigeria, it is alarming. Because in this era of social media, they do a lot of things in TikTok, which is where the demographic, the age range are there. They do even porn. If a
TikTok is
parent
their
is
school.
watching me, there is live porn on TikTok. There is
Yeah.
a lot of WhatsApp channel
Yeah.
that children watch a lot of things, get updates, learn what you cannot imagine. If your child has entered teenage age, in fact, we don't even need to reach teenage age this time. You need to start teaching them sex education in the way the children will be asking questions, and I watch it on social media, and parents are like beating around the bush, flogging the topic as if they are committing a sin. I do not understand. If you are Christians, you understand what I mean by a sin. We need to teach sex education. In some cultures, you don't even teach it, like it's not even allowed in schools. In some culture, still in my country, we did a research in this in SSRG about a profession that should be in forefront of this sex education, and students are still like winnie, tinny, university undergraduates. And so when you teach these things, because now students are passing out, like doing their YX sign out, and they are doing things that you are like, this is a young person, and they have the audacity, the temerity. So what kind of knowledge do they have that is making them get this, do this? Do they know what they should know? Do they understand protection? Do they understand SCIs? Do they understand? Because awareness will make you know your choices. Be self-aware. Know that when you are doing this thing, you know what you are doing as a young person. So parents, education board, because if the education, before we wait for the policy to be passed, parents, socialization, everything starts from home. Parents, nieces, nephews, uncles, anything you are, call them and teach them. Ask them what they know, because it's only when you talk to them that they can tell you that they are already kissing a boy. I will tell you, I worked in a school for a long time, a long, long time. And after that, I also worked with some children, some special kids. And these children tell me things that their parents never know. Confidentiality, I won't tell the parents in that way. Some of them have kids, some of them have had their first sex and everything. And the parents are still not even calling sex in front of them. They are already having sex. You would be so surprised and so shocked. So please, parents, and NGOs are even trying to like teach these things, like teach it like life skills and all, because the government has to pass the policy, the curriculum has to make it clear. And monitor your teachers' notes, because even some teachers are very religious, in quotes, that even if it's in the curriculum, like my biology teacher, no offense to her, it was in the curriculum when we were in SS3, but the way she taught it, it
Offense
looked
to her.
like you are not worthy to know this. Like you don't need to know. What do you mean
Offense
I
to
don't need?
me.
I'm 18. Like I am 16. Most teenagers see that when you turn sweet 18, you should have sex. What if I'm already preparing and you're not teaching me that? So what should I know? So please, we need to teach these things. These children know a lot. When you are saying your child is so smart, they can operate phone, they can operate gadget, is it that one you think they will not know? Jennafers are very smart everywhere. So please, let's do better and say the word as it is and teach them these things. That's my solution.
Thank you very much, Fidel. Thank you. I like how you concluded the whole narrative. So thank you, listeners. And this is
Thank
something that
you.
you have to take and make part of your everyday life. And I hope to see you next time. Like and subscribe.
Subscribe,
Say
please.
no to rape, young guys.
Not, please, not justification. We should criminalize raping a
People
marriage,
can
raping in
rape,
any
not
term.
job.
Yes.
Yes, way back. Exactly. Thank you.